Sometimes safety isn't peace. It's the silence before something terrible. This is the story of an American town that became so comfortable it forgot how to survive. Brookhaven was small, a postcard town tucked between green fields and a slow, winding river. Every morning, people waved from their porches. Children rode bikes down streets lined with maple trees. The air smelled of freshly cut grass, and the loudest sound you'd ever hear was a barking dog or a church bell on Sunday. There hadn't been a crime in 10 years. The fire station hadn't answered a real call in 5, and the town's tiny police force spent more time at the diner than at the station. Life felt perfect. Too perfect. Most people loved it that way. They said Brookhaven was the safest place in America. But one man, Eli Parker, didn't smile when he heard that. Eli was 63, a retired firefighter with gray hair, scarred hands, and eyes that had seen real flames, the kind that took lives and homes. He'd fought fires in the city years ago, fires that roared like monsters. And when he moved to Brookhaven, he thought he'd found peace. But lately, peace didn't feel peaceful. It felt wrong. At night, he'd sit outside his house, staring at the forest line in the distance. Something about the quiet made his stomach tighten. No drills, no training, no fear. People had grown soft, slow, certain nothing could go wrong. One evening, his neighbor waved and said, "You worry too much, Eli. This town doesn't burn." Eli looked at the calm horizon and replied quietly, "Every place burns, eventually." A week passed, quiet as ever. The sun still rose over the same still streets, and the river kept its lazy flow. But something small had changed, something most people didn't notice: the heat. It came slowly at first. The air turned heavy, dry, and strange. Grass began to crack underfoot. The sky stayed pale for days, like it had forgotten how to rain. Eli felt it. Every morning when he walked to the diner, he could smell the dust in the air. "Dry season," someone said cheerfully. Eli shook his head. "Dry seasons end. This one's not ending." At night, the wind stopped blowing. The air hung thick and hot, and silence pressed against every window. Dogs barked at nothing. Birds flew away, all of them, like they knew something people didn't. Then one afternoon, the town's power flickered, just for a moment. Lights went off, refrigerators hummed and died, and the streetlights blinked out. Then everything came back. The mayor laughed about it at the diner. He said, "Just a glitch. This town always bounces back." Everyone laughed with him. Everyone except Eli. That night, he drove to the fire station. The doors were locked, the trucks covered in dust. He ran his hand across one of them. The engine paint was warm, almost hot to the touch. He tried the ignition. Nothing. The battery was dead. He looked around the empty garage and whispered, "We're not ready. Not for anything." Outside, the air smelled faintly of smoke, far away, but real. He turned toward the forest, where a single red glow flickered on the horizon, like a warning. Eli's chest tightened. He knew that color. Fire. By midnight, the sky above Brookhaven had turned red. The fire had moved faster than anyone thought possible, racing through the forest, feeding on dry leaves and wind. When the first siren wailed, most people didn't even believe it. Windows lit up, doors opened, confused faces appeared on porches. Then they saw the smoke, thick, black, swallowing the horizon. The town panicked. People shouted, grabbed bags, tried to start cars. Some froze completely, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. But no one knew. No one remembered. Eli ran toward the fire station. His heart pounded as he turned the ignition again and again, still dead. He shouted for help, but the other firefighters stood helpless, staring at the flames climbing the hills. They hadn't trained in years. They didn't even know how to open the water valves. The fire moved like a living thing, crawling down the road, snapping tree branches, devouring everything in its path. Eli grabbed a hose, but the pressure was gone. The hydrants were dry. He coughed through the smoke, his eyes burning. He shouted, "Run! Get to the river!" People stumbled toward safety, dragging children, clutching pets, eyes wide with disbelief. The town that never practiced running finally had to. By morning, Brookhaven was a skeleton. Charred houses, melted cars, silence. Eli sat by the riverbank, soot covering his hands. A young man approached, shaking, and whispered, "We never thought it could happen here." Eli looked up at the gray sky and said quietly, "That's what everyone says, until it does." Sometimes comfort feels like safety, but it's really the slow loss of strength. The world will test us, and when it does, only those who stayed ready will stand. Because safety isn't the absence of danger. It's the presence of readiness. Comfort feels good until the test comes. Then it's too late to remember how to fight. If this story made you think, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that don't just entertain, they awaken. Because some stories aren't just told, they're lived.